Hello, buddy, this is Kyrix with more This Week in Kyrix. And today is Wednesday, May 10th of 2017. Let me just double check that that's accurate. That is accurate. Okay. A couple little announcements right off the bat. First off, there may be a slight difference in my audio quality. If so, that is because my headphone jack is busted, so I'm no longer able to run these through my headphones, so you may or may not pick up on my sound. So that's a thing. Secondly, this will be an especially long episode of This Week in Kyrix, because due to me having a broken control, which works now, by the way, I have not been doing Stardew Valley for the previous 3 weeks. So, I'm going to do it all today. Yeah, today. Which means we're going to play until day 20 today. And hopefully I will not run out of shit to talk about. Be aware, there will be spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because I saw that and I don't really have much else to talk about right now. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, come back later, or at least pay attention to when I say spoiler alert! Now, I actually have my another one of my disability exams shortly. Like, not shortly like today, but like next Tuesday, which it infuriates me that they keep holding these things on Tuesdays. That's literally the only day of the week I really don't have available for this kind of shit. So, being the considerate person I am, I told my HeroClix judge, hey man, Tuesday I have this disability thing, I might not make it. This being him, he immediately assumed that I would not make it. Well, you're not going to be there that day anyway, when we were talking about moving the draft. Why is this not... There we go. But, more importantly, he took that as a chance to give me advice that I didn't want. Why is this not functioning? Alright, this is annoying me that this thing doesn't want to work. It keeps... That's not a good thing. Especially since it wasn't doing this when I was playing recreationally earlier. And by earlier, I mean yesterday. But anyway, he takes that as an opportunity to just toss his advice in where it's not one. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't want your advice. Like, well, I'm not giving you advice. And then immediately he snaps back into trying to give me advice on shit. I'm like, dude, no. Your advice is neither wanted nor needed. Well, okay, I'm not going to give you my advice. By the way, here's my advice. No, shut up. You know? And he likes to call me autistic like a frickin'... just as a descriptor. Like, oh, you're autistic. Like... He doesn't realize that he's the fucking serious autistic one. He doesn't pick up on social cues. Like, no, I pick up on them, I just don't listen. Because you Aussies need advice. I'm like, no. I really don't need your advice. Nor do I want your advice. As evidenced by the fact that at no point did I ever ask you for your advice. You know? I mean, that should have been cue number 1, that I don't want your fucking advice when I don't ask for it, you know? I finally got him to shut up by telling him, look, I got shit to do today. And I did. I got some errands to run. I've done some of them already. I've still got to run to the bank and run to the library and do a couple other things. But he just doesn't... He doesn't know how to person. He really doesn't know how to person at all. I mean, any other human being, if I told you, oh, I don't need advice on this, you'd shut up, you know. His response to, oh, I don't want or need advice is, no, you totally need my advice, because if you didn't need my advice, you wouldn't say you didn't need my advice, you know. And the problem is he doesn't understand. I don't mean he ignores this fact, I mean he literally doesn't understand that when he does this, I don't listen to a word he fucking says. I literally tune him out and go about doing what I would have done anyway. And I even told him, I'm like, look, You're wasting your time because I'm just gonna do what I was gonna do anyway. He's trying to tell me, oh, you should like not shower for the whole week and show up horrible. I'm like, no, I'm not taking your advice, dude. I'm sorry that you find that offensive, but I don't give a shit. Because he doesn't know how people talk to each other. He really doesn't. Like, he assumes that by getting in my business uninvited, he's being my friend. No, he's not. He's really not. And he kept on telling me, like, so what, are you gonna do this? You're gonna do this? You're gonna do this? I'm like, I'm not discussing it. And I told him, I'm like, look, you don't pick up on social cues. Literally anyone else I talk to, after the first 2 or 3 times I gave them the runaround, would get the picture, oh, he's not gonna talk about this. And move on to something more constructive. No, he fucking batters at it for the next 20 minutes. Until I tell him point blank, look, I'm not discussing this. You know, it's none of your business. He doesn't know what none of your business means. He thinks none of your business means, oh, it's more my business now, because if it wasn't my business, you wouldn't try to convince me it wasn't my business. You know? He's a fucking cartoon character. He really is. Of course, the difference is, he actually refers to me as a cartoon character. Like, oh, you're such a cartoon character. I'm like, no, the difference between you and me is I know how to act, I just don't around my friends. Because he only ever sees me around my friends. He's never seen me in anything resembling a professional environment. He doesn't realize I can turn that shit off. All the weird shit I do, I can turn off. I just don't, because when I'm with my friends, I relax. And I get to be myself, and so on, you know? And he thinks that's how I am all the time with everyone I meet. I'm like, no. You know? The difference is, that actually is how he is with 90% of the people outside of, say, work. You know? I mean, if you have a conversation with him, 5 minutes in you'll realize, wow, this guy needs to live under someone's care because he doesn't know how to function in human society. I've literally never met a person that knows him where I've said the phrase, he doesn't know how to interact with people, or he does this shit that annoys everybody, and had them defend him. They're like, yeah, he does that. That's just how he is, you know. I know because I've said it to people. Like I said, the damning thing is that he's not a bad person. He just doesn't know how to act. He's like a 5-year-old. He doesn't know how grown-ups act. He's like one of those kids who thinks, oh, I'm a grown-up, I can act however I want. And no one's been able to convince him otherwise. You know, he literally is that person. And it would be endearing if it weren't so sad, you know? Because he likes to pass him off as this ultra-cynical person. He's literally one of the most childlike, innocent people I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's got this real sheltered fucking personality where he just does what he does all the time, period, because he wants to do it. By the way, you may notice that my cursor is snapping to things a lot, and I can switch inventories and all that, which I don't know if I could do before, but I definitely can now. But that is something that happened during an update when I wasn't playing this. So that's cool. But yeah, he frustrates the shit out of me. Because, I mean, how hard is it? Literally, how hard is it? When someone tells you something and all you have to do is say, hey, do you want my advice, man? And if they say no, then anything you say towards that from this point on is you wasting your time and energy and breath. Because they're not going to listen to advice they don't fucking want to hear. You know? Generally, when he does this, I pay just enough attention to what he says to make sure he's not trying to reverse psychology me into doing, like, oh, you should totally do this when he doesn't want me to, you know? That's exactly the amount of attention I pay him. Alright, we're gonna do a thing real quick. Yeah, that was me manually disconnecting and reconnecting it, not some kind of error, so don't worry. That was done on purpose. Okay, everything seems to be working fine now. Guess it was some glitch in the connection. There we go. Much better. I wish I could say that I've been productive. I want to point out I haven't been coughing at all until I started recording. But yeah, I wish I could say I've been productive on my recordings, but I've gotten exactly 2 done. Oh, god damn it. I have done a Suikoden 2 and a Final Fantasy 2. And I really need to change that. I need to get on both of those. Because those are both kind of important. And I'll probably get started on that for real today. Like, I've been telling myself, oh, I'll totally do this now, I'll do this, and I haven't fucking done shit. But this time for realsies, you know. And, yeah, I've got Suikoden to do, I've got Final Fantasy to do, I've got Xenoverse to do, which that's going to be the real tricky one. Because that involves more grinding that has nothing to do with the actual gameplay. Because I've got to get the Dragon Balls to change the character, and that's a pain in the ass. Once that's done, I can get him recorded, then I can get the last 2 characters recorded, I can record the last episode of the game ever, and then it's uploaded and I'm done with it. I never need to touch that game again unless I want to. Which will probably be not for a couple of years at this point. Oh shit, yesterday was a thing, I could have spent money. Oh well. Anyway. Yeah, let's check my little thing. One of the things I'm doing, and I have to stop myself from doing it, is I'm kind of ignoring all the crop harvests. Because in my own game, I have so much money that I don't need to deal with the mushrooms, and in this game, I kind of still do. But, yeah, I gotta get those done. Once those are done, I've got all sorts of stuff. Like, I just got a new game from PlayStation Plus called Port Royale 3, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of like Sid Meier's Pirates. To the point where I would fall just short of calling the game a blatant riff-off. Because it's really that close to it. So, let's go to good news. Barbecue. Barbecue was great. Barbecue was a lot of fun because, A, me and my buddy had ham steaks. And any day you can have ham steaks is a good fucking day. I mean, if you ever needed a reason not to be Jewish or Muslim, ham steaks is the perfect reason. Matter of fact, it's a more perfect reason not to be Jewish, because Jews don't have heaven or hell. So, at least with Islam, you're risking eternity in hell for eating pork. No. Not with Jews. Oh, that's right, I no longer have to... Was that a thing I was trying to do? Yeah, I no longer have to drag things to my inventory that just show up there. Also, I can multi-select stuff just by holding down the square button now, like I used to have to do, like, control left click or something like that. Yeah, I can do that for realsies now. It's awesome. I love it. But, here for now. Actually, I can sell the puppy. God, go! Still getting used to the new control scheme, as you can tell. But yeah, we had ham steaks, chicken strips, and Arby's fries. Specifically, the Arby's brand curly fries you get. And it cost me a lot more than I was expecting, because I was expecting to just get the ham and be done. And he's like, well, we gotta get stuff with it. And I'm like, well, we'll get fries, and we could either have chicken strips or corn dogs. So like, well, let's go with the chicken strips, but now I need oil. And I end up spending like $5 or so on a gallon of oil for the deep fryer. Which, to be fair, I've used that deep fryer, or I've made him use that deep fryer almost every visit, so. But, yeah, we basically got a Kentucky Legend ham and cut it into 7 steaks and fried them all up. We ate 4 there, and I ate the other 3 when I got home over the past 2 days. Didn't eat very many of the chicken strips at all. Turns out the ham was actually so good that it made the chicken strips taste bad. If you can believe that. So, I've still got a couple of those. I'm going to eat them after this. We ate about half the fries. We're saving the other half for next month when we're going to do a honey ham. We're going to do the same thing, but this time with a honey ham. Because he was begging for the honey ham. I'm like, I don't really like honey ham. Plus, it was $6 more expensive, and I was running out of budget as it was. But, yeah, next month's going to be honey ham and some fries, and it's going to be great. And there was an added thing. The night before the barbecue, I was talking... I overheard my roommates talk about going to the theater. I'm like, what are you going to go see? And they're like, oh, we're going to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I was expecting, like, oh, we're going to see this or that, you know, something I didn't have interest in. I'm like, shit, I haven't been able to get to any of the movies in a while. I want to see that one. So we hastily whipped together some plan for me to go, which involved my friend dropping me off at Largo Mall to see the movie. If they went there instead of Parkside. Which is funny because the roommate was like, can you get a shower before you go? Keep in mind, this was at 5 p.m. of the day of the movie. I'm like, no. I'm at my friend's house, and we're not going home. He's dropping me at Largo Mall. It's like, well, can you get one there? I'm like, no. We're literally walking out the door. He's walking his dog, and then we're getting in the car, you know? Told this 3 hours ago or something, then yeah. Or if you'd been going to Parkside, yeah, he could have dropped me at home, and I could have hopped the bike and gotten there. Like, well, I guess I'll just order you, or get you on the bus. I'm like, no, you really won't get me on the bus because the bus stops running when it gets to, like, 10 o'clock or so. So, the funny thing is, I probably could have caught the bus because it didn't stop and the movie didn't let out until, like, 9, and I was thinking it would be, like, 11 or so. I might have been able to catch the bus, but who knows. But yeah, he was... It was just a really stupid thing to ask. I mean, that's something you ask in the morning or before I leave to go there in the first damn place. Because then I could have done it. I'm like, well, my clothes aren't clean. It's like, well, just change into what you have. Okay, I could have done that. You know, I wouldn't have had a problem doing that. But yeah, one of the problems is that because I haven't been able to get new clothes, a lot of my clothes is worn to the point of being shredded, you know? So I only have so many clothes, and I basically have to wear them a lot, because, you know, I only have like 2 pairs of pants. You know, it's just, it's stupid, but I moved in here with like 10 pairs, and they've all shredded just from being so fucking old. I'm down to 2. So basically it's a case of, okay, laundry's done, time to get a shower in. Like today. Because, I mean, if I have to do laundry every single time I take a shower, I have to delay that because otherwise I'm doing laundry every other goddamn day, and that's going to piss the roommates off, you know, because that uses up a lot of water and electricity. So, a lot of times I'll wait until I'm sweaty and disgusting and horrible. Because otherwise it's, oh, I'm clean, I'm at the point where deodorant could literally cover this, so let's do laundry. It just doesn't work, you know? So yeah, I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's where the spoilers start. That was... People keep asking me, did you like it? Yeah, I liked it. How was it? Was it better than the first one? Worse? I think it's about the same. I really do. I mean, if you ask me, hey, Kyrix, you want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 or 2? Flip a coin. Whatever I feel like at the time, maybe. But I don't like, oh, definitely watch 2. 2 is a million times better, you know? Like if you ask me, hey Kyrix, episode 1, 2, or 3 of Star Wars? 3. Always 3. You know? I love 3. 3 is a good one. I like 2, and I can put up with 1, but 3, if you ask me that, I'm always going to answer 3. Hey, Kyrix, 4, 5, or 6 of Star Wars? 6. I like Return of the Jedi. I like the green lightsaber. I like the fact that it's a good guy movie instead of fucking Empire, which is all about the villains. Which is funny because I've gone over the fact that the reasons I like Return of the Sith are the exact same reasons I hate Empire Strikes Back. So I've pretty much determined that I just hate the Empire era. And I do. You know. But yeah, it's just, I don't have a preference between 2 and 1. Like, right now, I'd probably say 2, just because it's newer, and I've only seen it the once, whereas I've seen 1 a couple different times. But I don't really have a preference one way or the other. But it had a bunch of great lines, like, they had these jetpacks that Rocket had made. And Star-Lord asks, like, hey Drax, why aren't you wearing yours? Like, I have very sensitive nipples. Just casually, and they're like, okay. And that actually pays off later at the very end of the movie. Star-Lord slaps a thing on him and launches him, and goes, ah, my nipples! And yes, I'm going to refer to him as Star-Lord and not Peter Quill, because unlike the movies, I read the comics and know their fucking code names, you know? I don't think they're stupid. He's Star-Lord. That's Drax the Destroyer, you know? And on the one hand, I would be kind of mad about how they portrayed Drax as being just the complete simpleton and all that. Like, he doesn't understand shit. Because when I read Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax was just this very competent... He was basically Space Wolverine, you know? But the reason I'm not mad, unlike how I don't like what they did with Groot, is the fact that Drax has been portrayed as having... He basically reincarnates. Like, he dies a lot, and when he dies, he reincarnates, and sometimes he doesn't do it properly. You know, like, he'll come back stupid, or he'll come back smart, or he'll have this power, or that power, you know? When Drax dies, you never necessarily know which Drax you're going to get when he comes back. So yeah, there has been a Drax that was that stupid. There's been a Drax that was more stupid. Adam Warlock, when he formed the Infinity Watch, which was a group of heroes, a lot of which were in the Guardians of the Galaxy, like Drax and Gamora were both there, he gave each one of them an Infinity Gem. And he gave the Power Gem to Drax. And at the time, Drax was an idiot. He thought he'd been given a piece of candy, and he fucking ate it. So his gem was in his stomach. You know, Adam Warlock had the Soul Gem. He wore that on his forehead. Pip the Troll had the Space Gem. He kept it between his toes. Don't know why. Gamora had, I want to say, the Time Gem. Thanos had the Reality Gem. And why did he give one to Thanos? Because he knew Thanos wouldn't use it. Oddly enough. I'm trying to remember who had the Mind Gem. I want to say it was Moondragon. Save. Adam Warlock, Gamora, Moondragon, Pip, Drax. Yeah, that's all 6. I'm like, am I missing one? No, that's all 6 of them. Yeah, there were a bunch of really cute little moments in there if you read the comics. Even more if you read the original Guardians. Like, I didn't pick up more than a hint of the original Guardians through most of it. Like, I recognized Martin X. I got the name wrong. I kept calling him Prism in my head because there was another character named Prism in HeroClix, you know. But Martin X was in it, and I recognized him. But yeah, it was... You know, it was stuff. There was stuff in it that I recognized and some that I didn't. Of course, I never read the original Guardians. My sole exposure to them is when the current Guardians dealt with the Guardians of the past, due to some time warp thing. But, so yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, definitely recommend seeing it. What else happened? HeroClix. Judge wasn't able to go to HeroClix yesterday, so we actually had a very small turnout of 6 people. We were only expecting 4, and then more showed up, you know. But we did What did we do? What did we do? Shit! I was supposed to leave that open. God damn it! I was supposed to put something there! Let's get to it. But yeah, yeah, we had a small turnout. It was my 500 points anything goes tournament. I wanted to play Excalibur. I was one of only 2 people that put together a really powerful-ish team. Which, I told everyone, hey, I'm going to be playing a team base, so, you know. And everyone was like, oh, I'm going to play this thing. And everyone else was like, oh, I want to play this. And that's fine, but... And look, I'm one of the people who will defend your right to play whatever you like. But at the same time, and some of these people were really good friends of mine complaining like, well, I played figures I liked and I lost. That's what happens. I played the Giant Size X-Men team, and I lost. And I knew going in, hey, this isn't a very competitive team, I'm going to get my ass whooped, and I did. You know, but Excalibur went 2-1. I only lost to a really broken team, and even then it was kind of close. You know. And the only reason it was really close is because he didn't take my advice. He had the choice to play either Felix Faust or play, what's his name? Black Panther. And I told him, hey, you should play Black Panther, and he chose to play Felix Faust instead. And if he'd played Panther, I would have absolutely obliterated his team. Which, by the way, wasn't why I told him to play that. It just kind of happened that way. But Felix Faust is known for being a hero click that lots of venues have banned the usage of because he's fucking broken. And he got a lucky roll on the first turn that protected him from my team and forced me to play differently than I would have. But he didn't get the rolls that would have completely protected him from me, and within a couple turns I'd taken Faust down and then just had the rest of his team to contend with. And I held my own pretty well against him. Not as well as I wish I had, but hey, you can't win them all, you know. And I got the 3rd in the Earth 2 set of prizes. There were 3 Earth 2 prizes, Jay Garrick, Huntress, and Power Girl, and I was given 2 of them. Well, I won one of them last week, was given the other one, which was Huntress. And this week I got Power Girl to complete the set. You know, I don't like the Power Girl figure, which is sad because I love her as a character. And no, not just because she's got a huge rack. That, believe it or not, plays absolutely no part in why I like Power Girl. It's something that, honestly, if you read her comics, you stop noticing after a while. You really do. You know, it's like, oh, Power Girl's got big tits. Unless they bring it up, you don't even think about it after, like, 3 issues. Though, to be fair, it does actually come up a couple times in the comics, too. I mean, hey, it's kind of one of her defining physical characteristics. You kind of can't not talk about it, at least a little bit. But, yeah, Star Trek got moved. It was supposed to be this Saturday, and now it's not. Now it's going to be next Saturday instead. And, I have to... I gotta bring my A-game. I actually special ordered a new ship. I'm gonna get the USS Phoenix. Because it has cards that will play a part in my strategy. The Phoenix itself is not part of my strategy. It will not be used, but a lot of the cards in it will. So... We're gonna make of that what we will, you know. And I was trying to talk the judge into moving the draft to next month, or to basically spotting me the money, so that I could buy another ship, so I could fine-tune my fucking team. Because I thought I had one more torpedo than I did. And I basically had to rebuild this whole fleet like 6 times. 3 of them were this week, just to let you know. But, I'm at the point where I'm kind of happy with it now. It's not the best, but it'll do. You know? I mean, I'll just make do with what I got. But if I don't make the draft, which I probably will, because my appointment's at 2 o'clock, I'll be there early, and I can leave as late as 4 o'clock and still go. Unless the thing takes 3 hours, which I don't really foresee any kind of doctor's appointment taking 3 hours. But unless my appointment takes 3 hours, I'll almost certainly make it to the event. But I mean, if I happen to miss the draft, then I'll probably buy either the USS Hathaway, the Valiant, or the Thunderchild. Because they all have the torpedo I need, and the Hathaway has some pretty cool effects. The Valiant is a really cool Defiant class, and the Thunderchild is actually the ship that introduced the mechanic of time tokens. So that's kind of cool. It's an Akira class, and I'm not a fan of the Akira class. I don't really like it. Partly because when the Prometheus came out, I had a friend who just, oh, the Akira is so awesome. I'm like, no, the Prometheus would beat it. And we had that kind of rivalry, the Coke-Pepsi rivalry, Akira versus Prometheus. You know? Which I think the matter was settled because when the Prometheus got stolen, they sent an Akira and 2 Defiants to get it back. They didn't send 2 Prometheus to get the Akira back, you know? But, I think I've got pretty good odds, because I cheesed my build. Of course I cheesed my build. You have to cheese a build in Star Trek. But, right now my build is the Matha, which is a Vorcha class. Piloted by Lursa, with Bator as a crew member. It also has the... what is it? The, I forget what it's called, but it's basically an enhanced phaser array for the Klingons. Which is really funny because the Klingons don't use phasers, but the Pach uses, like, enhanced phasers. Because in that particular episode, they referred to it as phasers, like, well, now it's in the continuity that they had phasers instead of disruptors. You know? Basically, what this thing lets me do, it's only for Klingon ships. Or maybe you can use it on Federation ships and pay more, but I think it's only Klingon ships. If you're at range 3, you get 1 extra attack dice, and your opponent rolls 1 less defense die. The normal benefit of range 3 is that you get an extra defense die. So, I get an extra benefit and take away their sole benefit of being at range 3. The Matha itself has the power where, if I'm at range 1, you don't get an extra attack die on me, but I get 1 against you. So the safest place to engage this ship is at range 2, because any other range, I get a bonus die, and you don't get any kind of bonus at all for your range. Like, you don't get your bonus attack or defense die. Secondly, I put the Romulan cloak on it, so that if I shoot, I can just put a... Ooh, Tiger Trout, that's kind of hard to find. If I fire while cloaked, I can just put an auxiliary token on and not decloak. Now, you clear auxiliary tokens by doing a green maneuver. And then it occurred to me, hey, I have Pavel Chekhov from the Reliant, and he has a power that says, hey, you could do a white maneuver and clear. So now, there are only 3 maneuvers I can possibly do that won't clear my auxiliary. One is a hard right turn of speed 3, one is a hard left turn speed 3, and one is a come about at speed 3, which is basically a U-turn. You go forward, you spin around. And I don't do either of those maneuvers often at all. So, that's the thing. So, the Matha's strategy is to drift around using the cloaking device, stay at range 1 or 3, and blast the fuck out of my opponent. And with Lursa at the helm, I can very well do that. Second ship in the fleet, Chang's Bird of Prey, which, longtime viewers may recognize as the second ship I ever owned. Well, the second ship I bought. I don't consider the starter ships as being ships that I bought, even though I did technically buy them, because they came in the starter set. You know? I didn't choose to have the Matha, the Enterprise, or the Kazara. I just kind of have them because they came with a starter set and you need the starter set to play. But my very first ship was the USS Defiant, my second was Chang's Bird of Prey. Chang's Bird of Prey's power is that if you fire torpedoes while you're cloaked, you don't decloak. Awesome. Standard torpedoes work like this. They're range 2 to 3, although there are range 1 torpedoes as well. Or rather, 1, 2, and 3. From the Dominion, which I have been known to use on occasion. And a standard torpedo says that you have to have a target lock. And when you fire, you remove your target lock. And you can turn one of your battle stations into a hit. Okay, or maybe it's a crit, I don't remember which. Whereas the Dominion torpedoes have all that, but without the battle stations thing. So you give up that extra hit or crit for the chance to shoot at range 1 if you have to. But anyway, that's a standard thing, and you have to disable the torpedo, which means you have to re-enable it later. Well, the new torpedoes all have a mechanic called time tokens, where you fire your torpedo, you put 3 time tokens on it. At the end of every turn, you take a token off. So basically, every 2 turns, you can shoot your torpedo. You know? Because one comes off that turn, then the next turn, then the next turn, then you can shoot them again. No extra actions required. Makes it really useful. Well, for Chang's Bird of Prey, I've got Chang at the controls. Chang's power is if you're cloaked at the start of your turn, you can sensor echo at speed 1 before you move, and then you can sensor echo again afterwards with a normal action. On him, I put William Riker, again from the PA, I think. Maybe, no, it's from the Hood, I think. But no, it is the PA. His power is basically I roll an extra defense die, and when I do, I can re-roll my battle stations tokens, or 1 battle stations token. If my captain is disabled for any reason, I get to roll 2 extra defense die and re-roll 2 battle stations. Or no, I don't re-roll them, I turn them into evasion, that's what it is. Which is much better. Because if you re-roll, you have a chance to come up either blank or battle stations again, but if you just turn it into evade, you win. But he's on there to give it more defensibility, so now, with Riker on, it rolls 6 defense dice when cloaked, and it always will be. Originally, I had an item on there called Advanced Weapons, which acted like the Romulan cloak thing, except I disable the cloak instead of, you know, just turning it off or getting an aux. But I had to scrap that because I don't have another torpedo. We'll get into that in a minute. So, it also has on it 1 photon torpedo with time tokens, 1 quantum torpedo with time tokens, and how quantums work is, like a photon, they are a 5 dice attack, 5 dice weapon, and they work at range 2 to 3, etc., just like the photons do. And if you hit with them, god damn it, if you hit with them, then you, hold on a second here. I'm so distracted right now. If you hit with them, you get to add a free hit. You do an extra hit. So if you hit with 5 dice, you do 6 dice of damage. You know, you do 6 hits. And that comes at the cost of 1 extra point. So I would pay 5 for a photon, 6 for a quantum. But since these are Federation torpedoes on a Klingon ship, I'm paying 6 and 7 respectively. So basically, every 2 turns, I can shoot these. Well, this is where the Phoenix comes in. First off, the torpedoes are coming from the Phoenix itself. Second off, there's another weapon on there called Arsenal. And what Arsenal says is, if you would put time tokens on a weapon, you could put 1 of them on the time token instead. So I'm going to put 2 time tokens on each torpedo when I fire, and 1 on the thing. 1 on the Arsenal. Now, I can't put more tokens on the Arsenal when there's a token on the Arsenal, but it doesn't matter because it's going to clear that turn. So, basically, here's how it works. I'm going to shoot my Quantums, which puts 2 tokens on the Quantum and 1 on the Arsenal. At the end of that turn, I take a token off of each. So I've got 1 on the Arsenal, or I've got none on the Arsenal, 1 on the Quantum. Next turn, I fire the Photons. So I've got 1 on the Arsenal, 2 on the Photons. End of the turn, clear off the arsenal and the quantum, so those are both empty, and one on the photon. So basically, I can fire every turn if I have a target lock. So basically, I'll be target locking a lot. And if I have to shoot my main weapon at range 1, then I have to shoot my main weapon and just cloak next turn. You know, it's just something I have to put up with. And my third ship is a Xindi Reptilian Cruiser. Its power is if you're firing photons and you would put time tokens on, put one less on. Originally, Arsenal was on this so that it could fire photons every single turn. And then I opted to put that on Chang so that Chang could fire every turn, because I'm basically going to be doing that anyway with the quantums. Like every other turn, I'm going to shoot. Originally, my captain was a Xindi captain, and I forget what he did. Wasn't really important. But I decided to put Mr. Spock on there instead. Mr. Spock lets me target lock for free, so I'm going to be firing those torpedoes. You're thinking, well, Kyrix, what if you're at range 1 and don't want to fire your torpedoes? I'm still going to need that target lock, because it does something cool. But first, torpedoes are actually a 4 torpedo. You know, 4 dice. But it has this cool power where if it's fired from a Xindi ship, I add 1 die, so it turns into a normal torpedo anyway, for like 2 points less than I would normally pay for a torpedo. It's pretty goddamn cool. Not even gonna lie. So yeah. But here's where the cool thing comes in. I have a crew member, and he's not a disable or discard, so this makes it really cool. When I shoot someone with my primary weapon and hit, if I hit the ship, I can discard my target lock and just kill a crew on their thing. Like, yeah, that crew member, he's dead. What's that? You got Tom Paris giving you extra evade? Sorry, I shot him. His console blew up and he's dead now. You know? So I have the option of hitting hard or killing crew, which is really fucking cool. And because Spock's doing free target locks, I'm going to do this every single turn unless I'm facing a fleet like mine that stays cloaked 24/7. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons I stay cloaked. Because you can decloak and get no penalties at all. Like, you still get your dice if you cloak the same turn you're getting shot. The reason to stay cloaked is so you can't be target locked. Because target locking opens up a lot of weapons like photons and quantum. Torpedoes in general can generally only be fired if you're target locked, unless you're like a Sovereign class. If you're the Enterprise E, they can fire without. So that spares me from most secondary weapons, and most secondary weapons do a lot more damage than your primary. You know, like, say, very few ships, at least in the Federation, for example, do 5 dice of damage, whereas torpedoes do that standard, you know? And there are some ships, like the Sovereign class, just in general, the Enterprise E in particular, come with a torpedo that says, yeah, if this is fired from a Sovereign class, add an extra die to it, so it's going to hit even harder, you know? So it suddenly becomes a 6 dice attack. Also, I'm burning through these days a lot faster than I thought I would, which is good. But, because part of me was sitting here thinking, I'm going to be here all day, and it's going to feel like I'm going to be here all day. No, it's going pretty pleasant clip, honestly. I'm not upset with how this is turning out. Not at all. Okay, it'll happen on Tuesday. So yeah, it's not being target locked protects you from a great deal of really powerful guns. Not to mention, even if they don't have secondary weapons, having a target lock, if they miss a lot of dice, they can spend the target lock and re-roll as many of them as they want. So it can turn a glancing blow into a colossal hit if they have a target lock to burn. So for obvious reasons, you don't want to be target locked ever, because fuck that. You know? And honestly, why would you want to be target locked? It never ends well for the person being target locked. So yeah, it's one of those things that I just don't like to fuck around with. But, yeah, I am looking forward to having the Phoenix, and I probably will use it in a build at some point. It's kind of funny, because the Phoenix is a Nebula-class starship. And Nebula-class starships are known as being kind of all-purpose, but mostly science-y ships. You know, it's a fucking science cruiser, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you think firepower, you don't think science ship. Well, the Phoenix is loaded with weapons. It comes with like 4 goddamn weapons. It comes with the arsenal itself, which adds 2 weapon slots, the photon time lock, the quantum time lock, and more importantly, it comes with an aft torpedo launcher, which I would have loved to use on this build, but there are 2 problems with it. Or 3 problems. 1, you can't use it on anything that has a rear arc. And most ships, a lot of ships don't, but most Federation ships do have a rear arc. So, most Federation ships, by default, are just disqualified from using this. Secondly, it has to have a hull of 4 or greater, which disqualifies a lot of the Federation ships that don't have it, like the Saber class. There's a particular Saber class ship called the Jaeger, which I have, and the Jaeger's trick is when you fire torpedoes, you do not disable the torpedo. So as a result, with the Saber class, you put Captain Spock on there because, again, torpedoes have 2 parts. You need to re-enable them and you need a target lock. Well, you don't need to re-enable them on the Jaeger, and Spock gives you free target locks. So right there, you're good, you know? But, if the Jaeger had a 4 hull, which it does not, I could put the advanced, or the aft torpedo launcher on there, and what that does is, if they're not in your front arc, they're vulnerable to the aft torpedo launcher. It basically treats... the aft torpedo launcher treats everything that's not your front arc as being your rear arc. And torpedoes can be fired out of your front or rear arc, so suddenly you've got a 360 firing radius for this fucking torpedo. And one of the guys cued me in on the fact that there's a thing called Enhanced Hull resource that boosts your hull by 1 for your whole fleet. And I'm like, well, I don't have that. Well, shit, we got extras. Remind me and I'll give you one when you come to the store. I'm like, cool. Because Enhanced Hull actually would help all of my builds because I play a lot of cloaked ships. When you're cloaked, you can't use shields. If you can't use shields, you are entirely dependent on your hull to protect you. So having 1 extra point of hull is a good thing. You know? Plus, I will play the shit out of the fucking Jaeger again if it turns out that I can put that aft launcher on there. Now, the one problem with the Jaeger is it specifies that only photon torpedoes do that. Otherwise, I would load that bastard up with quantums, you know? Because why wouldn't you? Right? Like, oh, I'm going to put quantums on this bitch. But no, it has to be photons. So what I used to do is I would put the Dominion photon on there. And nowadays what I'll do, if I build it now, is I'll put a Federation photon and a Dominion photon on there. Because the Dominion photon will give me range 1, you know? And if you're thinking, Kyrix, why would you want to do that? I'm like, here's why. Because the Jaeger only has 3 attack dice. Or maybe it's 4. I'm pretty sure it's 3. Give me a second, I'll actually look. Shit! Drop the phone. But yeah, the Jaeger doesn't really have a lot of firepower to it. I think the Jaeger, I used to put, back when it was a thing, I used to put the flagship on it. Because when you put the flagship on it, the Federation flagship, it does a couple things. One of the things it does is raise hull, another thing it does is it raises your attack dice. So I think I used to have the Jaeger at a point where at range 1... Yeah, at range 1 I used to have the Jaeger so it would do 5 dice of damage. But it does 3 normally. So you're going to want those 5 dice at range 1. And likewise, when you're firing at range 2 or 3, you're going to want to fire the Federation photon because you'll get that battle stations trick. You know? But I will play the shit out of the Jaeger at that point. Because that was one of the things that was always weird about the Jaeger, is it's built to be a torpedo boat. It's absolutely a torpedo boat. And yet, it didn't have a rear arc, which means it only had a 90-degree firing arc for this torpedo that it's built to shoot. So what the shit, man. But yeah, the aft torpedo launcher will fix that. But yeah, the Phoenix is not a bad ship. I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily play it, but it's not a bad ship. And when you throw that time token mechanic on there, I might very well put Captain Spock on there and turn his ass loose. Shit. $25, perfect. Need some pumpkins. So yeah, it's because the Phoenix can do a lot of damage with that rear arc shit. And the fucked up thing is, if I really want to, I think I've got another weapon slot that I can put the fucking aft phaser array from the Enterprise D on there. Because it's like, hey, it does your primary weapon damage from your rear arc, you know? As opposed to the Enterprise E's dorsal phaser array, which gives you a 360 arc, but only up to range 2, you know? I think the aft phaser array actually gives you range 3 at your weapon value. I'm going to look that up because I've got the time. Weapons. Enumeration. Yeah, it's range 1 to 3. Okay, it's your weapon value minus 1. Which I think the dorsal does the same thing. But, yeah, the dorsal does the same thing, but only up to range 2, whereas this is a range 3 full firing arc. Why would you not use it? It's not as good on something like the Phoenix, which I think has an attack ranking of 3. Because you don't have the firepower you should have. But it's still not a bad power-up to have. Aw, thank you, honey. Honey's a good cat. I guarantee this is some kind of quirk of this particular startup of the game that I have to keep fucking with my square button. Because I didn't have this problem when I was playing solo. Yeah, because this is totally a team game. Yeah, I'm on a team server. We got eggplants on crop field 1. No. But when I was playing just my recreational save, this wasn't happening. So it's gotta be just this particular startup, because the control doesn't have anything wrong with it. But, yeah, there's lots of builds that are opening up for me in Star Trek now that I've got stuff. Like, I actually had some extra money this month. Hopefully I'll have a job at the end of the month. I've got to go through that process. I've also got to go through Social Security and fix my Medicare so that I'll have Humana still. This is a big clusterfuck of a month, and I'm not happy with it at all. What can you do, you know? But anyway, I've got to get a hold of my aunt so she can get a hold of my mom's roommate so we can figure out what's up with this job thing. And if I get this job, I'll have a check. And if I have a check, I can start getting shit from Star Trek, you know? I mean, hopefully I won't lose my disability, but if I do and I have a job, it won't matter because I can self-fund, you know what I mean? I can actually take extra shifts or some shit to get more work, or if I have to, take another job. I don't want to have to, because I'm not good at that shit, but survival takes precedence over comfort. Something that my friend doesn't think I understand when I totally goddamn do. But then again, despite allegedly being my friend, he has absolutely zero confidence in my ability to do anything right. So that's fun. Just wander around talking to people. I can't remember if she costs anything. Oh, she does, but it's money. I have money. Okay, so he's trying to tell, or she's trying to tell me, don't forget Demetrius' birthday. So let's go up here and try and not forget Demetrius' birthday, because I don't know it. I love that I can just pick shit up now, like that. That's fun. All of them, good sir. Yeah, fun fact, I don't know if this has been fixed, but generally, he always does green. I think I've only ever seen it go orange once out of all the times I've done this festival, which was a lot. Make that twice. Oh well, doesn't matter. Don't want to play. Fuck you. Anyway. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Star Trek tournament. It's gonna be a lot of fun for me. I hope. Almost completely forgot to harvest my damn eggplants. That's a thing. Eggplants are a decent enough fall crop. I personally prefer the cranberries. But, hey, you do you. Eggplants might be worth more in the long run, I don't know. There's a chart somewhere that says, but I don't... There are people who min-max this thing to ridiculous degrees, like... I saw a video for a guy who took the quarry, where you can get, like, rocks and shit, and just filled it full of beehives. I'm like, when I say full, I mean there was... The only spots that weren't full were the path he walks to get to the hives. I'm like, why? That's a level of wealth in this game that exists solely to have that level of wealth. There's no point to having that much money, you know? Other than to say, hey look, I pulled in $1 billion today. Okay? Why? Like there's a thing of setting up fucking kegs to make wine and shit for all of your ancient fruit harvests. You know, like I have a greenhouse in mine full of ancient fruit, so once a week I pull in a fuck ton of money. But his advice is, hey, take those 108 ancient fruit and turn them into 108 fucking things of jam, or not jam, but wine, and sell them for even more. And I'm like, I don't need that much money. You know, it's like the difference between being a millionaire and a billionaire. You know, it's just there's a certain point where there's too much money. That nobody needs that much money. I mean, I firmly believe that no human being needs to make more than fucking $500,000 a year. You know? Because if you were to give me $500,000 a year, by the end of the 3rd year, I would have run out of shit to buy. You know? I mean, I'd have run out of video games and miniatures and all that shit very, very long time. And then what do you do? You know? I mean, me and one of my friends were talking about taxes and how people are like, oh, you're spending, people are having to pay too much on taxes. I'm like, not really, you know? Not if you really think about it. Like, okay, let's say you make $10 million. You know, that's good for you, first off. Nothing wrong with making $10 million. But I mean, if you have to pay... Let's say you have to pay 50% of that as taxes. You know? Or shit, let's say you have to pay 75% of that as taxes. That leaves you $2.5 million for the year. What the fuck do you need that much money for? I mean, let me do some math here. Via my phone. That's a clock, Kyrix. Clock will not help you with this math problem. Okay. Take that money, take that $2.5 million, and divide it by 52. That's 52 weeks in a year. That is $48,000 and $48,076 a week, not a month, a fucking week. Now, to let you know how much money I fucking have, that is the general equivalent to about 5 years of income for me. Just so you know. That's 5 years worth of money for me, almost. Actually, it might even be a little more than that. Which means that you are pulling in, at that point, paying 75% income tax on $10 million a year, you know. You are still making 5 times a week what I make in 5 years. Or you're making, yeah, you're making what I make in 5 years in a week. So, as someone who's broke, I can't imagine that level of wealth or what the fuck you would do with it. And maybe I'm just fucking naive, and it's entirely possible. Because, you know, I'm poor as fuck, I don't know how to rich people. But it seems to me, after a certain point, you just have too much money, you know? What would you do with it? What truly would you do with that level of wealth? And I'm asking, I mean, what... Eventually you're gonna run out of cars to buy, you're gonna run out of houses to buy. Once you get to a certain point, wealth is just a status thing. You know? It's just at that point, it's just a dick-waving contest of, I have more than this guy has. Also, this is a thing I've totally done on mine, so we're gonna be here too. Basically, shit won't come up if I put flooring down. So this will save me the trouble of weeding and all that shit. And if I want to plant something, I just take up the wood, you know? But it saves me on upkeep. I don't have to hoe shit that I don't want to hoe, and I have to chop shit that I don't have to chop. Don't have to break rocks, don't have weeds popping up. It's beautiful. Plus, I get to make that wood noise everywhere I walk. But yeah, it's just I don't know how to deal with that need for that level of wealth. I mean, I'm the guy who, if I won $10 million, my goal would basically be to start a Let's Play company and employ my friends so that they could all make money just hanging out and having fun, you know? Just make videos, have fun with yourself, like, hey, come live in the Let's Play house where your expenses are paid, you know? You get a check, so you can buy your own food, but other than that, everything's paid. Like, no water, no electric, no rent, just come live here and make videos with me. Why? Because at that point, I have $10 million and I want to take care of my friends. Because they're my friends and I love my friends. You know? I mean, I would tell all my friends, look, you want to, you can come live here rent-free. Very little is required of you, you know? And even the Let's Play thing isn't set in stone. Like, the friend I have who does the barbecue, he doesn't want to do recordings. I told him, look, I'll fucking pay you just to take us places. I will let you live here just to be the fucking chauffeur. You know, because I don't drive. You'll be the guy who drives me down to the gaming store to get the gaming shit that we game with. Speaking of gaming shit that we game with, one of the guys had a new game that we played yesterday. Me and him, no one else showed up on time. It's called Boss Monsters. You may or may not have heard of it. I hadn't, but it's a lot of fun. It's a little card game based on retro gaming, and I really like it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I would like to find an online version for Octagon and play the shit out of that with friends. You know, that's one of those games that I would just... I mean, I would love to show up early every week and just play Boss Monsters. You know? But I actually won one of the games, and he won one. And there's a decent amount of strategy to it. It's not like HeroClix where you need strategy, but it helps. And it's pretty cool. And there's lots of little in-jokes, not just to video games, but to other stuff. Like, he's like, oh, here's this thing from Game of Thrones. And I'm like, I never watched Game of Thrones. So this goes over my head, but... cool. Glad you get the reference. I don't, but no one says I have to get everything, you know? Now, there is one caveat to this, which is if the farm is overgrown with weeds, then they will break shit up, but if there's no place for the weeds to grow, it can't get overgrown. Now, there is one major downside to this particular building style. And that being that, when stuff does grow in, it's gonna grow in my fields. So, yeah. Unless I have that shit already sorted out, like, oh, there's corn husks or whatever in there from regrowable shit, it's gonna be full of sticks and crap. But that's just a little bit of time to clear out. Everything's golden, you know? trying to get all these parts that I can't see cleared out now. So yeah, it's been a decent week, and I've got shit to look forward to. I've also got some hard work to look forward to on my Let's Plays. And there's a lot of miscellaneous crap, like I have until the end of the month to do the Humana thing, which I'll worry about that shortly. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with this job. I have to make it to that doctor's appointment, which the doctor's appointment to me is kind of stupid, because A, my disability isn't a physical one, and B, I went to the doctor recently, you know? They could literally call my doctor up and get my information. So, why am I doing this? It doesn't make sense to me. We'll put this one here. I don't know. But either way, it is what it is. So I'll get through it. Because I kind of have to. And that was all my wood being used. So that's a thing. Oh, I'm going to grow my shit early. You're going to throw off my whole rhythm, aren't you? Okay. Thank you, I guess. Ooh, I got some cranberries coming in. Yeah. Oh man, I wasn't hungry before I started, but I damn sure am now. But yeah, if nothing else, this will get me caught up to where I should be for Stardew Valley. Oh, I've got more corn coming in. That's interesting. Oh man. God damn it. Seriously, I need to get a fucking job. I need to get some kind of income, because this is driving me nuts. I'm tired of being this broke all the time. That the only reason I can make it from one month to another is because I'm getting money from my mother. You know? It's literally the only reason I can make the rent every month is because I borrow money. Well, I don't borrow money, I get money from her. You know? I'd love to borrow it so I can pay it back, but it's just not feasible. You know? It's either pay the rent or feed the critters, and I've got to feed the critters, so... And hell, even getting food is hard now, because at the start of the year, like, well, now that you're getting an extra $2 a month, we're going to cut $50 out of your food stamps, even though your rent skyrocketed. Thanks for that. Thanks for cutting my food stamps by the exact amount that my rent went up this year. So now I have to get food from Mother as well, because I can't afford it. You know? It's just... So I need 12 seeds. I wish I could say that I don't understand this propensity to balance the budget on the backs of the poor, but I absolutely do. Because the alternative is to balance it on the backs of the rich, and the rich people don't want to balance it on their back. They want the poor people to handle it. And I hate being that cynical piece of shit, but that's how the world works. You know, it's sad, but that's the way it fucking is. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily mind it as much if the rich people hadn't convinced the middle class people that the poor people were the fucking enemy. You know? Because I've had people get on me like, oh, you get food stamps. You're just leeching off the system. I'm like, dude, the amount of money I get in food stamps, you could, seriously, they're like, oh, you get free money from the government. Not like you think I do. You know? I mean, you could pay my entire check out of your check and still make more than I do when all is said and done. Just enough. Yeah, I love the fact that one of my friends tried to tell me, well, you make more than I do. I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah, you do. I wait tables. I'm like, you make more than I do. He's like, how much? I'm like, how much do you make? I'm like, oh, I make less than $10,000 a year. And he just looked at me like, you mean poor people don't have it easy? No, we don't. Fun fact, it sucks being poor. You know? That's why rich people don't want to give away their money. Because then they'll be poor, and being poor fucking sucks. I don't know what's so hard to grasp about that. That's literally exactly the reason that no one wants to be poor. You think that would be the easiest thing in the world to describe to someone, but some people just don't fucking get it. You know? And I do understand, thanks to, I don't know if it's thanks to Carlin or thanks to Bill Maher, I think it's thanks to Bill Maher. I understand why people try to protect the rich people, because in America, we try to sell people on the line that, hey, you could be rich someday, so don't bite the hand that feeds you, you know? I mean, hey, you can tax the rich if you want, but when you're rich, then you can tax me again, you know? I promise you, if I'm ever at the point in my life where I am making $10 million a year, you can feel free to take fucking 75% of that in income taxes. Because what's left of that is more than I will ever need. Because what really, truly, what do you need that much money for? Honestly, tell me, because I don't know. I can't fathom what you would need $10 million a year for. It's beyond me. I can't even conceive of it. It is a number to me that is so vast that I can't even visualize it. And yet this enormous number is too little to meet your needs? Really? Because I don't think so. And if it is, what the hell are you doing with your life that $10 million isn't enough? Or that, fuck, that $2 million a year isn't enough, you know? I mean, you could say, well, $1 million doesn't go very far. How far do you need it to go? What do you need? That's what I'm trying to comprehend here. What the fuck do you buy that you need? There was this one plutocrat, I don't remember his name, but he did a video on YouTube that I actually downloaded. And he basically says, that no matter how rich I am, I will never equal the spending power of the middle class. Please tell me I kept at least one pumpkin. I did not. God damn it. Well, I can get it to her whenever. I just won't get it to her on time. But he's like, I will never equal the spending power of the middle class. Because he's like, oh, this is... I have a $10,000 pair of pants. I have 2 of them. I don't need more than that, you know? And he's fucking right. What does he need? What does he need with 1 pair of $10 million or $10,000 pants? Much less 2. You know, he's like, me buying this will never equal 10,000 people buying $2 pairs of pants or something like that, you know? He's like, there's only so many things I can buy, and that's true. There is only so much you can buy. And some of it's shit you'll never use. How do I know this? Because I'm poor, I have hero clicks I have never fucking used. I have hero clicks that I've never thought to use, that I bought anyway. You know? Here's a better example. I have Star Trek ships I've never used and never really wanted to use, that never had stuff that I wanted to use in it. And that's a better example because with hero clicks, you buy them and you don't know what you get. With Star Trek, you have to do that on purpose. You know, like, what's a good example? I have a board ship called the Soong. I will never use that because it has none of the benefits of the board. Or none of the major ones, like the 360 firing arc and such. So I bought it because it was Borg and I needed it complete set, you know? I have a Klingon ship called the Groth. It's a fucking original series Klingon ship that doesn't cloak and doesn't really have a lot of good stuff. I will never use the Groth. I can't think of a situation where I would ever want to use the Groth. Especially when there's plenty of other Klingon ships I can use in the same point range that can cloak. You know? Because cloaking is kind of the reason you play Klingons and Romulans, you know? But I have it. Don't need it, but I have it. Why do I have it? Completes my set, you know? And I promise you, if poor people are doing that, rich people are fucking doing that too. They're buying shit they don't need. You know, in some cases, shit they don't even want just because, well, gotta have it. It's part of my rich person job, you know? Like I said, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm full of shit. Feel free to educate me. You know? But I somehow doubt at the end of that conversation I'm going to come away with sympathy for the multimillionaire. You know? Now, I want to state, I'm not advocating that income tax be 75%. I'm not advocating that at all. But I've heard people say, well, they earned the money, they should get to keep it. Well, here's the thing. I promise you, the poor people, for the most part, have earned their money too. Why don't they get to keep all of theirs? Why don't the middle class get to keep all their money that they didn't fucking inherit? Or that their companies didn't generate for them? Because while it's not the case in every case, most rich people aren't earning their money. They're going to work, sitting at their office, and letting their fucking hired help do all the work while they collect a check. You know? Maybe they'll make a business deal. Okay? They're not the one putting together the product. They're not the one filing shit. You know? So, I mean, if someone whose job is sitting on their ass and talking to other rich people deserves every single cent of what they make, why don't the people who literally bust their ass out in the sun deserve to keep everything they make too? And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who would do this argument that don't agree with taxes at all. Like, oh, we should buy our own roads. No, we shouldn't. I lived in Crystal River. I know what that looks like. It fucking sucks. Okay? You don't want to drive on dirt roads. Take it from someone who lived on a dirt road. Like, the only reason you could tell where my yard ended and the road began is because the road was red with dirt and clay. You know? But this is a road that you can get stuck in. Like, oh, I'm going to work, honey. Oh, shit. Guess I'm not going to work. The truck's stuck. You know? Better call the tow truck to get me out. Oh, it sucks. Because the tow truck is stuck like half a mile up in things. So they're calling a tow truck. And then you get a fucking convoy. Your fucking road looks like the La Brea tar pits. With just trapped vehicles going to rescue other vehicles. You know? You don't want that. We had to pay a late fee on our moving van because it took us 2 days to get it out of our road. You know? My school bus coming back from high school once stopped on the side of the road, and the 4 or 5 of us who were still in there got out and pushed a truck because it was stuck in the dirt. Because the tires were gummed up. One of the kids knew how to drive stick, so he was doing the thing, while the other 7 of us, plus the 2 people in the truck, were pushing the fucker. Let that sink in. Anyone who bitches about paved roads has never driven on dirt ones. Ever. And if you ride a bike, you sure as hell don't want dirt roads. My bike rusted into oblivion on dirt roads because you can't ride a bike on dirt roads. Cause sugar sand has no fucking traction. So yeah, I'm sorry, the people, no, don't pay taxes. Yes, pay taxes. Because whether you like it or not, taxes make life in this country fucking possible. You know? People who don't like taxes obviously have never driven on a dirt road. You know? And you sure as hell can't fund a military without taxes. And if you can, you don't want to, because I made this argument to someone like, do you really want Walmart to have its own army? Sears, Kmart, Burger King, McDonald's? You know? Because that's how monopolies start. When Burger King's army is bigger than McDonald's, you won't have a McDonald's in your state, you'll only have Burger King. And if Burger King is the only fast food joint in your state, well, that $2 hamburger now costs $7, because where the fuck else are you going to get a burger from? What are you going to do? Go to McDonald's? You're going to cross state lines to get a burger? I don't think so. You know? It's just... Yeah, anyway. That's enough shit from Kyrix, because I finally hit day 20. I'm now caught up. So I'm going to save this game, and I'm going to heat some chicken strips. See everyone. Bye-bye.